I'm at Vinexpo, Hong Kong with Alvin Jurčić, a young Austrian winemaker and producer from the Langenlois region of Austria, who's doing some very, very interesting wines and has been making a mark already being spoken about. I just wanted to ask Alvin, because there's so much happening with young winemakers in Austria, what are the things that you all are doing today which is different, and what are you trying to achieve for Austrian wine?
Hello. The biggest goal is to achieve what can be the new classics in the future of our region, the Kamptal. And for all of us, for all the young Austrian winemakers, the most important challenge is to rediscover our terroir on a very personal way. Terroir is changing, so although I'm working in the same vineyards like my grandfather did, climate changed in the last 30-40 years. The soil is changing as soon as you adapt to organic methods, but this is a thing you have to rediscover personally. So to try to get this sense of place. And the first 2 years of coming back home from my travels, I spent in the vineyards to check out all these different microclimates, feeling the wind, checking out the soil. And after trying to become a good farmer, the next challenge was how can we make our wines as unique and as hard to copy anywhere else. And those modern times of Austria, it's slowly becoming to an end, when you could find Grüner Veltliner tasting like Sauvignon Blanc or like a Chardonnay style in a reserve quality. But especially Kamptal, we are a cool climate, and I really want to get this into the bottle.
So this is very interesting that in Austria there's such a resurgence, if you will, of your traditional grape varieties. Of course, most people who know Austrian wine know that Grüner Veltliner is your #1 grape. It's a white wine grape. And of course you have all the red wines as well, your red grapes like Blaufränkisch, which we tried in the masterclass, and Zweigelt. And tell me a little bit about what you and Jurčić are doing with your traditional wines, traditional wine grapes, and what sort of wines are you making with it?
Yeah. Finding out what is my personal style I would like to go. It's a white wine style to work with Grüner towards elegancy, understatement. In a wine world, when everything is becoming bigger, louder, faster, we are trying to step back to let our wine speak for themselves, and we're not trying to manipulate to make it bitter, bigger. So we have a philosophy in our winery which means no aromatization. This is starting with no botrytis to maximize alcohol. No new oak anymore. I kicked out most of my new oak barrels from France, and we went back to our big old traditional style. I even go that far, and we go out in winter to really collect and search for the best local oaks. We let cut and we store for 5 years on our property the oak before we bring it to the cooper. And we have such a great climate and such great different types of soils, and I want to find out this silent voice on terroir in my wines, and this takes some time. So back into old oak, we don't wreck the wines, we even stop batonnage to make it more creamy. And I found out that Grüner Veltliner, it's a super sensitive variety, but with such a high potential of making great wines, reflecting the smell of the soil, reflecting the smell of the garden where it's grown. And so in the cellar, we did not become lazy, but we are working more with the fact of time. So the wines now, they stay a year in the barrel on the full lees. And this is such a nice work to follow the wine. And I think they're going to be a great future for Austrian wines when it's sharpening their style, and every region we have in Austria is going to become more and more precise. In this young generation movement, it's a strong movement in the young generation. You also find still tradition which is good, but we're really trying to redefine a new tradition. to really things are changing. And my biggest goal is to make wines which are found around the world in the really cool restaurant places where there are chefs who create the wine list of full of character. My wines should work like the background music for a nice dinner. I don't want wines which are overpowering fine dishes. And I think the cool climate, hilly side of the Kamtel is just perfectly, in combination with Grüner, it's just perfectly a food variety for fine food, for connoisseurs. Grüner Veltliner can be kind of a diva in the vineyard, and so you have to precise in the vineyard and have to use the right moment of harvest. So that later on in the cellar you can be a bit more laissez-faire with your wines.
Well, thank you so much, Alvin. That was a lovely introduction to the wines of Austria and particularly Grüner Veltliner. All the very best. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Ciao.